Hello, I'm Binzer Flynn, and welcome to the Flinncast. Evening, Juice. Evening, Chris.
Evening, guys.
How's everyone doing?
I'm inside. I'm being, forced to, asked to. It's like normal.
You mean in general, or your wife's making you?
No, in general. No, my wife is not making me. Not making me. I'm actually doing this of my own free will, as per government recommendation.
It's just that I could see her going, Juice, get back in here and put your pants on.
What did I
Yeah,
walk into?
yeah, I can see that too. Honestly, you know what? I mean, if pants weren't like socially mandatory, but I'd skip them completely. But I mean, I have shorts, so it's an acceptable compromise.
Why are we talking about Juice wearing pants?
I have no idea he brought it up. However, we did get outside day and plant grass, so yay for outdoors and fresh air and stuff.
Look at you embracing your green thumb.
Only because the lawn outside the house here got dosed with chemicals a couple weeks ago to get rid of all the weeds, so it kind of needs it. And plus the fact the covenants here in the neighborhood demand you keep a good looking grass or they fine you.
Yay, homeowners associations.
Will they ostracize you?
You're going to be a story on Reddit at some point.
Not quite. Maybe next door, but no. There's this place is this place has like a 100-page covenant booklet that you basically sign to when you buy a place here. I mean, honestly, it's not as bad as you think. Most of it's pretty much common sense, but there definitely are some beautification clauses in there that does make you make sure you keep your house up to snuff.
How goes the lockdown at Skyhaven, Chris?
Day 14, I believe we're on. We haven't killed each other. What's interesting is that since our office setup, right, our desks are side by side, so it's not like she's working downstairs, I'm working upstairs. So we're literally like 4 feet away from each other. I've got my laptop and 2 monitors, so I have many screens.
Well, I suppose those monitors create some sort of visual barrier so she doesn't have to look at you all the time. So there's some sort of separation.
I mean, I guess the hardest part is when we both have our headsets on, like we're either listening to music or whatever, or listening to like the prime minister or the premier. We're trying to talk to each other, and neither of us can hear each other, so we like have conversations with ourselves.
I would laugh my ass off if you both went into Discord during a press conference so you can actually talk to each other while it's happening.
And now Merida's taken to baking bread, so there's that.
I saw that sourdough. When this social distancing thing is finally lifted, I'm coming to your place. I love sourdough bread.
It is pretty tasty.
Yeah, we'll be expecting the fresh loaves the first D&D session.
Jesus Christ, I was saying the other day that one of us has got to throw a party when this is all friggin' over so we can like see each other. And Joey's like, I think it's just going to be our wedding, probably.
The way things are fucking going. I like how we were joking how we kept seeing each other every goddamn weekend, and now it's completely opposite.
Yeah, that was kind of funny. Like, remember, over Christmas, we were keeping literally a running count of, this is the 11th consecutive weekend I've seen you. And now it's like cold turkey.
It's like smoking. You get the shakes and it doesn't feel.
How are you doing, Vinzer, on the whole cut sugar out of your diet game?
Really quite good actually. I don't miss it at all, and I just get my little taste fix out of sugar-free pop. So it's going quite well, actually.
And how is not killing Cole yet going?
You know what? We've been a couple weeks now, and he's actually pretty good. He's pretty good at playing by himself, and he spent 10 hours on the Switch today. But we said, we got the news that no school till May, and I told him that today, and he didn't jump for joy this time. But like I said, you're going to be doing homework and shit, so the ship is going to have to be tightened up for sure. Like there's going to be homework before attack, that kind of thing. But I mean, overall, it's really going pretty good.
Yeah, well, one, he's got only child syndrome, so I think I'm not an only child, so I can't really talk about this, and neither are either of you. But I'm pretty sure, as an only kid, you kind of learn to play with yourself. Take that however you want, whatever.
Oh, dear Lord.
Too easy.
But from the kid's perspective, right? This would be cool for like a week or two, and then it's suddenly like, okay, why can't I go outside and see my friends again? Exactly.
Yeah, and he's good about that. Like we've been nice days we go for walks. There's places we can go here in the shore, and then there's a nice, there's the high school. There's nobody in the parking lot, so we can go up there and he can scooter around and shit. But he like gets it. He understands about the coronavirus, and I'm like, we can't even go to the playground. You can't touch the bars and shit. He understands all that, so he hasn't really been resisting any of that. He's just going with it,
which is good. I mean, Cole's pretty mature for his age, so like it's good that he understands, because a lot of kids his age wouldn't.
Yeah, and like I say, he's not all over me all day or anything. He's good at playing by himself. So if I'm working on shit in here, like we're pretty good at coexisting in the house and staying out of each other's way.
That's
good to hear.
Now ask me again in about 3 weeks, and it's going to be a different story.
Juice, have you heard from your brother? How's he making out with the kids home?
They're doing fine. They'd be out of quarantine now since their return from New Zealand. But they're in Ottawa, so they're of course stuck at home. Both kids aren't going to school, of course, so their mother is doing all sorts of things to keep them occupied, in doing soccer mom type, what I call soccer mom type stuff. It's kind of cute and disgusting at the same time, but it's working. So there you go. And my brother shaved his beard for something to do, which makes me kind of wonder if this staying inside all the time is starting to get to him slightly.
I'm looking forward to seeing the inevitable crazy hairstyles that are going to emerge over the next month.
Oh, for sure, right? With all the barber shops closed, and then even when they're not closed, it's going to be a mad rush as soon as they're able to open again for everybody to get haircuts.
Yeah, my hair's starting to get to the point where I would normally say, yeah, it's time for a cut. But I think, I can't remember, but I guess it depends on the shop. Most barber shops and hair salons here are closed, but I think there's a few open. But I'm still staying away from that because, well, yeah, I don't want to get sick.
Somebody literally breathing on your head for 20, 30, 40 minutes.
Exactly. So yeah, not a good idea. So when the barbershops finally get open, I'm going to have to make a choice about whether I want to keep this ponytail or not.
I don't give a fuck. Like mine's right now is like, I'm working on sort of a Viking thing, shaved on the sides and letting it grow on the top. And I was like, I should let this go as long as I can and crazy, but I don't give a fuck. I'll just clip mine back down to Captain Cold size. But I'm looking forward to what happens in the next few weeks.
You cut your own hair anyways, don't you?
Yeah, Raptor does too, and we're fucking gorgeous.
Or I'm going to do the 1920s bowl cut.
You should, just for the picture.
Oof. I have a mental image in my head. It's like Juice, but Spock-ish.
There you go.
The old Vulcan bowl cut.
I even have a pair of elf ears that will also work as Vulcan ears too. That would look amazing.
Hey Jinx, can you put a bowl on Juice's head and just snip, 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 snip all the way around?
This would be the time to do it.
I'm sure she'd do it just for the hilarity factor. Keep the facial hair, but everything else goes off. That would be amusing.
Now, fortunately for me, I got a haircut like the last week of February, so it'll be mid-April before I hit the point where I'm normally like, okay, I need to get a haircut. I hate this, but then again, no one can see me, so whatever.
No, you
Unless you
can't.
use Zoom.
You can't. There you go. Does this look good in the back? Yeah, you look great. This is the time to give yourself a bad haircut because no one's gonna know.
My beard already looks pretty scraggly, so
You know, actually, now that I'm thinking of it, maybe I should try a buzz cut and see how it looks.
You know what? My first one years ago, I must have been in my mid-30s, and my sister was clipping my hair, and she went, "Oops!" And next thing you know, I looked like a British footballer. But the first time I did it, I was like, "Well, you know what? I actually like this." So
I mean, not take it all off. I mean, I'm still blessed at my age with having like a very nice head of hair. So I wouldn't want it to all go away, but maybe like an inch short or something like.
I've been going to Christina to get my hair cut since I want to say 2013, 2014 maybe, and we just have hit the point where she says the usual, and I go, "Yep," and she knows what I want. So I'm at that point.
I didn't know it was that long, actually.
Yeah, it's been a bit. I followed her once, like she's not at the place where she was when I first started going to her. I followed her to her new spot. Same with her Phoenix, and maybe Elkir too. I'm not sure how long they've been going to see her.
Yeah, no. If you keep your, I found if you keep your barber for a couple of years, or even 6 months. Yeah, no, a couple of years. It usually takes that long for them to figure it out. But once they figure it out, you just have to sit down in a chair and know exactly what to do.
And you know, I'm expecting Elkir and Phoenix to end up looking like fucking Wildmen Barbarians in about a month. But what is going to be more interesting is how guys.
You mean more so than they already are? Right?
More so, yeah. Like they could start braiding things, but more so, I'm like guys that are usually pretty clear cut, like Vander or Carmine. That's going to get very interesting.
Oh man,
God.
I want to see Barbarian Carmine now.
I want to see Elkir or Phoenix with braided beards. That would be amazing.
I think it'd be a good look for them.
I think it'd be a great look for them, honestly.
Carmine does a beard once in a while, but usually work prevents it. But I have seen him with one. But I haven't seen him shaggy and wild.
Yeah, I don't know what his work situation is right now either. Like, because normally he can't have a beard because of the mask he has to wear. But I'm not sure if I don't think he's able to work from home.
No, he's actually still going to work as far as I'm aware because, I mean, the lab stuff you can't, of course, do at home. And you have to be on site to do testing and such. So, yeah.
Yeah, you can't bring the centrifuge to your basement.
Yeah, but then again, I don't know if his work stuff is an essential service or not.
The funny thing I find with essential service is that you can probably tie just about anything back to essential service.
It all depends on how you look at it, I guess.
Well, I know that I wouldn't be able to grow my beard as long as those two have. I mean, once it gets about like 3-4 inches long, it just starts getting itchy as all hell, and I have to take the razor to it back down to a couple inches.
No, not that I can grow mine very long, but the second it gets slightly scraggly, I can't stand it. Not that I can grow a beard. I've just been going with the old Twi'lek tickler for a long time now.
Well, the full beard I actually like. I mean, it used to be just a goatee, and I was happy with that. But now that I've got a full beard, and I found that it's not that terribly hard to maintain, and I know that the proper length for it now, that it looks good, but it's not scratchy as hell. I'm thinking this is going to stick for a long time.
It's the mustache that drives me nuts. Like when I knew I'd be doing an Iron Man appearance and I'd grow it out as much as I could. It's the mustache that drives me crazy.
Oh yeah, those things. Yeah, they can drive me nuts too. Especially when it gets so long that it starts covering your lip, or B, you start getting random hairs that grow out and start tickling your nose. That drives me nuts more.
So did anyone watch Clone Wars?
Of course.
Yeah, it was. I'm hoping these episodes lead up to something, because man, those two characters are annoying.
Oh man, Trace is driving me, like, especially in this episode. She was kind of cute at first, but now it's like, oh my god.
I couldn't believe it, but then I realized what she did, and it dawned on me. This is what this is what you get when you give a 16-year-old with who just got her license is gonna do stupid. He or she is gonna do stupid shit like what she did because she doesn't know any better.
You know,
It's like you thought the underside of Coruscant was bad. Wait until you're now congratulations, you're now entering intergalactic gang politics.
what she did, dumping the spice, that's exactly what got Han in trouble with Jabba. You don't dump spice.
Which is actually kind of funny because if you probably noticed, her older sister is exhibiting some very Han traits, and then things that happen almost parallel like Han's life story.
Yeah, I can see that. I never really thought of it that way, but yeah, you're right.
I mean, she's always making deals to try and get money to get out of there. I mean, she has a ship. She's always convincing her sister to go along to schemes, just like Han's always trying to convince Chewie to go along with it because he thinks it's going to be good for them. It's the parallel is amusing.
I think Chewie's the only person in the galaxy with any common sense whatsoever.
Well, the guy is 100+ years old, so I would think he's learned by now.
The hard way. So there wasn't a whole lot of meat to this episode, but there were some really cool moments, and the big one for me was a sort of a repeat of when Vader sends Luke in the ship, where Anakin senses Ahsoka passing by the ship and they let them go.
Yeah, that was pretty cool. My high point was probably getting to see the Maw and Kessel.
Yeah, I was kind of surprised. So there's actually two different sides to Kessel. There's the nice side and there's the not so nice side.
Yeah, that's news to me. Like, I just associate Kessel with being a completely toxic shithole, and like to see that there's almost a Alderaan / Naboo level of luxury and royalty there. I was like, what? Really? Okay.
I mean, we are still in the Republic era, so it's very possible that when the Empire era rolls around, the planet just turns into the shitty strip mine that we all know and, I don't know, survive, tolerate, etc., etc.
But the thing is, that shitty strip mine was already there when they went down. I mean, with slaves and everything. So, I mean, it's still there. I'm just thinking in Solo, the movie Solo, when they go down to Kessel, they just go straight there because that's where the cargo is they need to steal.
This comes back to that age-old Star Wars thing where we associate one planet with one thing. Like, you know, it makes total sense that, yeah, there could be an ugly strip mine here and a castle over there. I mean, look at our planet, for Christ's sake. So, you know, yeah, why can't there be both, right?
You're totally right. I really did like the naivete of whatever the heck the pilot chick is. Look at all those droids. And then Ahsoka's like, those are people, honey. Those are people.
And not only people, they're slaves.
It's a very big, interesting contrast because Ahsoka used to be the idealistic one, and now Trace is this totally green rookie, whereas Ahsoka's got this, go ahead, fuck with me, I dare you attitude now. Like, she totally said this last time, too. She just seems so grown up now.
She's definitely getting more mature, which is probably building up. It'll definitely build up to the eventual invasion of Mandalore, and that's going to change her even more into what she becomes in Rebels.
So, an interesting theory I've read online in between all the people complaining that this arc is boring is that maybe she'll cross paths. Like, maybe they'll end up crossing paths with whatever crime syndicate that Maul is in charge of right now. And that's how it'll tie into the Siege of Mandalore.
Ooh, that'd be cool. Was it Red Dawn?
I think so, something like that. So they were theorizing that, you know, they need some reason for Ahsoka to, you know, pick the sabers back up and go to Mandalore, right? There has to be some sort of story reason. And they were thinking that maybe, you know, Maul kills what's their faces, and then you know, heads off to Mandalore for the siege, and then she follows him to Mandalore.
Crimson Dawn, by the way.
Crimson Dawn, that's it. Red Dawn was the movie.
Yeah, Crimson Red, it's a same thing.
Oh, don't tell someone in fashion that. They will bite your head off.
It was reminiscent of Black Sun. That's all I could remember.
The Black Suns. So much hate, Prince Caesar.
Great villain, though.
For the longest time in Zitorak's older Star Wars game, he was he was one of our nemesises. So I have a special dislike of him.
Oh, you shouldn't have told me that.
Alrighty. I guess we're going to be looking forward to some Black Suns here.
Oh,
A couple of adventures.
The Flynn's name with Black Sun is already shit. I mean, he's Flynn Vinzer himself. I almost called myself Flinzer. He's flying a Vigo. He's flying a Vigo class Black Sun gunship that he stole. So yeah, he already doesn't like.
Nice.
So one of the things I couldn't understand in this, I mean, I know it's just an animated show, but why the hell would like Yularen himself be the guy on the comms going, "What's your operating number?" I'm like, don't they have people for that?
It's true. It was very true. I think it was just a chance to get him in the episode.
I guess.
I like the way they've updated his appearance for this season. He's starting to look more and more like what we're going to see in Rebels and eventually A New Hope. It was nice.
Yeah, he's sort of like this character most people aren't really fully aware of or don't really give that much mind to, but he's like been there the whole time. I remember, Juice, when we were playing the Rebellion game at the cottage, like Yularen, he's like one of the Imperial character cards.
Yeah, he is. I mean, he's been there for forever in the mythos at least. But it's interesting that he was an admiral, and then he retired, and he came back, but as a colonel instead, and then gets blown up on the Death Star. But anyway.
Oh, was he on it when it blew? I actually did not know that.
Yularen was actually he was never named, I don't think, when the movie came out, but as Lucas likes to do, he names every frigging character you will see on the screen.
Oh yeah.
And Yularen was actually, if I remember correctly, correct me if I'm wrong, of course, but he was actually at the conference table when Vader and all those admirals and generals were talking about how the Death Star was the ultimate power in the universe now and such. You actually see him sitting there in his ISB whites there, listening to the conversation. So he was pretty up there, and I'm going to assume he didn't escape the Death. He didn't leave the Death Star before it went to Yavin 4. Or at least there's nothing I've seen or have read that indicates that he left the Death Star before Yavin 4.
That raises a really interesting question. Given all the time Yularen spent in the Clone Wars with Anakin, and then Anakin disappeared and this Vader guy showed up, did he ever quietly make the connection that they were the same person? Because he was on the bridge when Ahsoka passed here in this latest episode, and if he was in that conference room when Vader was choking the shit out of that guy, do you think he's like, that's the same dude?
I mean, Thrawn figured it out, so who knows? I'd wonder if he recognizes the arm, but I don't think the armor is the same.
No, not so much, and I guess he couldn't even the voice would not even be remotely the same thanks to the helmet. But I just wonder if there was like maybe idiosyncrasies or phrases Anakin might have said that Vader might have repeated that might have made Yularen go, hey.
Totally possible.
So I saw in Star Wars related news this week, I don't know if it's true or not, but Season 2 Mandalorian Bill Burr is supposed to return. So I am super excited at the idea of return of Mayfeld to try to get some payback.
Yeah, that's going to be a revenge episode if I've ever seen one.
We'll lay the credits now. Do you think he'll survive it?
You know
what? Probably.
Yep. If he's funny enough and he makes a good enough impression, yeah, I think he'll survive to season 3, maybe even 4.
He could, he could be actually a really interesting recurring bad guy, and that opens up the idea we might see the Twi'lek again, or Berg, the Deveronian.
Because I've noticed, I mean, the Mandalorian was not like Game of Thrones, where they were killing off main characters left, right, and center. Yes, some of the guest characters did get whacked off, but a lot of them actually survived.
You realize what you just said?
Whacked off.
We're all 12-year-old boys here.
Oh, God. Sorry, I guess I couldn't help myself.
Oh, yes, you could. You could.
Anyway.
I know you better than that.
I was like, yeah, I can let that go, but I won't.
Yes. Mandalorian doesn't kill off a lot of their main or guest characters. They did do some of them, but a lot of them surprisingly survived through the season. So it wouldn't surprise me that if they keep this guy on for a couple of seasons more, like that one character that seems to pop in for an episode every season.
So Mayfeld's gonna show up and be like, "Hey, pal, should have whacked me off when you had the chance."
Then, of course, we get totally proven wrong, and the Mando says, "Yeah, you're right," and shoots.
See, I'm kind of expecting that. Like, all right, you're gonna keep coming back, so you got to go. Or maybe the child will force choke the fucker to death. We know he's capable.
It's true, and he doesn't seem to be all that. He doesn't really seem to hold back when he's doing it either.
He was defending his old man. All right, let's get into this fucking Picard finale.
So, Juice, I thought of you specifically when they loaded Picard into the golem, because in my head I'm going, ha, I was right.
Yes, you were. And I mean, when Picard suddenly grabbed the back of his head, you knew, okay, they're gonna kill him, and they have a body for him. I mean, you could see when that started happening, you could pretty much figure out that conclusion like 10, 15 minutes ahead.
And I saw this, and it was like, and so once again, Star Trek writes a path for human immortality, and then immediately throws it out the window.
Well, I mean, it's kind of smart. I mean, if you made the Picard golem immortal, and then the actual actor, who is advanced in age, suddenly dies in his sleep or something like that, you've got a lot of questions to answer.
I did like that was one of his first panic questions. You didn't make me immortal, did you? And then, a few minutes later, like, wouldn't mind another 10 years? 20?
Because I'm tired of your shit.
It's funny, though, that it's amusing, though, that he didn't mind an extra 10, 20 years, but was horrified at being immortal. Which actually brings up, I guess, a fundamental question. Would you want to be immortal?
Finzer, you're not allowed to answer the question.
In response, I will say this. There is a saying that in order to achieve immortality, you have to die over and over and over again. There's a deep metaphorical saying for you.
So my thoughts on the finale, I liked it. I know everybody was raring to go for a giant Federation v Romulan space battle, but I think Picard taking the more diplomatic option was what was going to happen, because let's face it, this is a Picard redemption show. So I was pretty sure that's what was going to happen. But it was pretty cool to see Riker on the bridge of a very beefy, well-armed starship again.
I wasn't expecting that. I got very excited when I saw that. I was by myself, but I may have squealed a little bit.
I got spoiled. Jonathan Frakes posted it to his own Facebook, Twitter account. Just the picture of him sitting on the bridge in uniform.
Oh.
So I'm like, well, I know what's going to happen now.
I saw that. You know what? I saw that too on Twitter, and I realized, oh shit! I squealed for a second when I realized what it meant, and was also then suddenly disappointed that, well, shit, something just got spoiled. But it still did disappoint. I was actually kind of surprised at the number of ships. When I think squadron, I usually think like 10, maybe 20 ships, not 100. It would still look good though. I was very impressed. I was actually impressed that Starfleet is starting to go along with a better fleet design and not building like 10, 15 different classes of ship, but instead of sticking to like a half dozen. From an article I read, apparently there were like 4 different classes of ship in that fleet. So it's nice to see they're keeping it easier to a fleet that's easier to maintain. You know what you're getting with each class of ship, so you're able to figure out what kind of force projection you can send out, yada yada yada. So yeah, yay! I'm glad they learned their lesson.
I agree with Juice. I would feel like, keeping your design of ship complement small means, you can train your engineers easier. Your shipyards can work faster because they only need to build, 4 classes of ship in this particular instance.
It felt to me like you said, there was a couple different designs in there, but they were all pretty uniform. It feels to me, and especially the way Riker described the ship he was on, which is now apparently the flagship of the Federation, that they just sort of, they've gotten to the pinnacle of their starship design. Is like, these are as good as we can fucking make them. They don't have to be any better. Like, we've gotten to the final form kind of thing.
Without talking about any of their stats at all.
At that particular point, I'm sure that they'll come up with something newer and better. But at that particular point in time in 2399, what Riker is on is basically the biggest and baddest ship that they have. So
I did think I think I spotted a Sovereign class or 2 in the mix there. Did you notice that?
You probably did. Most of those ships took very much a Sovereign-esque shape of design. And I've been reading, some people thought that they actually saw a ship design from the Star Trek Online game too. So
you got to think, even though with the Enterprise not being the flagship anymore, you still got to figure those Sovereign classes. They were fucking really awesome, powerful ships. You got to figure they're pretty much still in the mix,
I didn't read where I didn't see that I can't forget what ship he was on, but I didn't think that was the flagship. I thought I read somewhere that the Enterprise is still around, or to theorize the Enterprise is still around. It's just older, as it's still just a Sovereign.
I'm almost positive, I could be wrong, I'm almost positive I heard Riker actually refer to it as the flagship, which is why it stuck out to me.
Maybe the flagship is that squadron. I wouldn't think the flagship of the fleet, but I could be wrong too. Who knows? A question to ask the showrunner of the episode, of the series, I should say, who surprisingly has been very open in answering these type of techie questions, apparently.
So speaking of new ship designs, the Romulan ship designs are badass.
I like the look of them. Very, very Warbirdish.
I always find it weird that the Klingons and the Romulans have the same name of their attack ship.
Well, you got warbirds and birds of prey. Or is that the distinction?
No, that's what it was. Thank you. Never mind. You're right. I'm wrong. I was thinking they were both warbirds for some reason.
Not quite. Their small ones are the birds of prey, the little Burrell class that you see in Star Trek 3 and 4 and stuff.
So we didn't get a big space battle, but we did get some space action the way Picard was flying the La Sirena around trying to buy time. And actually, that little ship has really grown on me. I actually really dig the design.
I still maintain it looks like a Mass Effect shuttle times 100. I thought it was really cool they mentioned the Picard maneuver, which was neat.
And I love her reaction. Wait a minute. There's already a Picard maneuver, isn't there? He says, yeah, long time ago on the Stargazer. It's ancient history. It's like he was, oh God, she's bringing this.
She was like, you did it on the Enterprise, right? And he's like, it was the Stargazer.
And then, we have the magic ocarina of technology that fixes or creates anything your heart desires.
Talk about your MacGuffins.
Seriously, that was the MacGuffin.
Now, was that a specific artificial life form gadget that they made on that world, or is that like standard issue?
I mean, they got it from the androids, so I assume it's from their world.
Well, it'll be definitely interesting to see how that plays in season 2.
So one thing that really stuck out to me in this finale is, before she sort of comes back to her senses, Soji and them are signaling the ancient AI. And I was just thinking how completely opposed Data would have been to what they were doing.
Oh, it's true. I completely agree. And of course, why did it have to be space tentacles? Why does it always have to be tentacles?
Because tentacles are scary.
There's no arguing that.
I mean, look back at your history. You got the Kraken, gigantic monster that ate ships, very tentacly. You got the Japanese fascination for tentacles and stuff like that, also very scary. Octopi scared the shit out of people. Lots of tentacles. So yeah, it doesn't surprise
Cthulhu's got
me
tentacles.
Exactly.
All kinds of things. I think it's just tentacles as an appendage are just so foreign to human consciousness that they're always kind of frightening, maybe.
When the rift opened and those tentacles started reaching through, I was like, am I playing Mass Effect? Are those the Reapers? What's going on here?
I had a little bit of like Matrix flashbacks too, because the Sentinels all have those little tentacles.
Again, more tentacles.
I really liked the send-off for Data. I really wasn't expecting that.
No, I was quite surprised to see him, and I thought it was a pretty touching send-off in general, especially at the very end where his memory of Picard is sitting there with him as he grows old and passes on. Didn't expect that.
I admit that and Picard's death both made me tear up.
So I would also just like to point out, though, that apparently they've had Data chilling in a blender or a lamp or a portable hard drive for like 30 some odd years now, and they've been building android bodies this entire time.
Well,
why not just plug him back in?
Some people on Reddit were discussing that same thing, and they said, it's not actually him. It's the remnant and the bits of him that went into B4. And if they tried to put him in a body, it wouldn't work. So I was like, okay, I'll buy that.
So he basically floats in an AI ether for 30 years, like some spirit.
I also really liked it. Brent Spiner can still pull it off. Like the prostheses look really good. He still has the voice.
Yeah,
I was very impressed. Yeah, I was very impressed with with how they did his makeup and everything. You couldn't even tell he had aged.
And the voice was absolutely still spot on. Brent Spiner said no more Data though. He said he's done with the role.
This was as good a send off as I think we could ever hope for.
Oh yeah, it was great closure. How about them playing the Blue Sky song in that scene too? Huh? That just hits you right in the old nostalgia feels.
Yep.
True dat.
Probably why they chose it.
I did enjoy that it's, in a way, the story came full circle. Data, died to save Picard, and Picard died to save Data's daughter. So I kind of like the way that came around.
I mean, in theory, he died to save all of Data's children, right? Because all of those android pairs are from his neural net. I hope he doesn't owe child support.
Be a lot of gold press latinum.
I don't know what the annual Starfleet pension is or death benefits, but splitting them amongst that many kids, probably not much left at the end of the month. I
enjoyed a couple things about Picard getting back into a little bit of a space battle there. One, he sat in the chair, and it was a poignant moment. But more so than that, when he was making his plea to Soji on open channel, and everyone could hear, Riker just sat there smiling and nodding. He's like, "Yep, look at Jean-Luc just doing his thing."
It was pretty cool.
I was also kind of amused when evil Data daughter, I can't remember her name, I'm
Sutra.
sorry. Sutra is just going off, and she's about to her evil plan is about to come to fruition, and then Song Sun just basically takes the remote control and turns her on.
I laughed. I laughed out loud. I'm like, of course there's an off button.
There's always an off button. Although Brent Spiner said he would be open to playing Sung again.
I imagine it has to do with like the prosthesis and the makeup and stuff. It's probably a long time in a chair.
Oh, for sure. I mean, yeah. I mean, he can't be play young Data forever.
I just have this headcanon, the androids are brand new. They're adult-sized bodies, but they're still learning as kids. And he's just like, I'm fucking tired of listening to you kids for all this fucking time. And he just takes the remote control, goes bleep, 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 and just turns them all off for some peace and quiet.
Oh, did anyone notice, at the end, they're gonna, warp off the second star to the right and keep on going kind of thing. The crew number is 7, that magic number, that Star Trek magic number, the crew of 7, the next adventure.
That's assuming they don't warp back to the nearest starbase and drop off Dr. Geordi, seeing as she said she would go into custody for killing off Matt. Or has that all been forgiven now?
Alison Pill's character is probably the one I like the least on the entire show. And I know they were really like hinting at her and Rios becoming a thing, but like, wow, they were a thing by the end of that.
See, and that's just it. Is the Federation aware of the crime, or did that just sort of stay within the android world community? You know what I mean? Like, and her connecting with Rios finally, it's like, yeah, like she's not going to prison. No way.
And then what the heck's up with Seven and Raffi? They've known each other for like 10 minutes.
Yeah, it did seem quite sudden. Although I did enjoy Seven's final showdown with Narissa and kicked the shit out of her for Hugh.
She Sparta kicked her off the side. It was great.
Totally.
What happened to Narek?
I was just thinking that. What did happen to him?
I'm not sure. We know what happened to his sister. But last time I remember seeing Narek, he was in that group of androids watching the signal tower go up, and that's the last I remember.
Did he escape on a ship? Did he get beamed up by the Romulans? Tune in for season 2.
Dun, dun, dun.
Or I'm gonna rewatch the final episode again and figure it out.
Yeah, we might have just missed it. I enjoyed the, speaking of 7, the Death Star, the Borg cube sitting in the ocean like the Death Star.
It was, yeah. I also found it weird that Narissa was still on it. Like, I thought she got beamed off forever ago.
They never resolved anything about those Borg drones floating out in space that got flushed out. I kind of thought they would, but they didn't.
Yeah, they kind of just dropped the whole Borg plotline altogether.
That'll be an issue in season 2 where they drifted into a space station or something and absorbed a lot.
Well, I'm kind of curious now. I mean, I know it was Rios that called him Admiral, but now that he's actually proven not to be a crazy old crackpot and basically saved the Federation again, is Starfleet going to take him more seriously in season 2? Maybe we may see some more cooperation between the two, a little less animosity.
My money's on reinstatement as retired admiral.
I imagine it will depend on what the overarching threat is for the second season. The problem I had with this episode was that if you already knew it had been renewed for season 2, then you're watching Picard die and going, no, he's not. He's not dead, because there's another season of this.
So what are our guesses for an overarching threat in season 2?
I'd like the Borg. That'd be nice.
I'd kind of like to see Klingons back in the mix.
Yeah, I'm thinking the Klingons are going to be in there. It wouldn't also have surprised me if they convinced some of the other some of the other Next Generation characters to make at least guest appearances. So we get the Klingons. I'm pretty sure you'll probably see Worf again.
I'm predicting and hoping that season 2 sees some Worf and LaForge at least.
You know what? It would be I'm not sure if he would be up to it. He might have. It might be not his thing anymore or whatever. But it'd be really nice to actually see a grown up and mature Wesley, at least for an episode or two, and see how Will Wheaton actually plays a more mature character like that.
I would dig seeing that.
So he did host the after show after every episode, but I'm not sure how he feels emotionally about, rejoining the Trek verse.
Well, I noticed the other day when Marina Sirtis' birthday and the original cast were all doing their big multi-conference webcam that Will Wheaton was among them.
Yeah, he was right in the middle of it. So it may happen. I mean, who knows? They haven't started. No, they wouldn't have. Well, even if they had started taping, it's suspended right now until this whole pandemic thing is done and over with. But they haven't announced. Yeah, they really haven't announced anything about season 2 yet, apart from the fact it's happening.
And aside from the TNG cast, they've got a wealth of characters from DS9 and Voyager that they can tap into. I mean, look how Grade 7 worked out. So, I mean, there's no shortage of characters that will still be just as exciting to us if they show up somewhere along the way.
I'm trying to think who they... Oh, man. The emergency engineering hologram breaks down, so we have to go get Captain whatever O'Brien. Finally an officer.
I could see him still being a lowly chief somewhere bitching about everything.
So here's an interesting thing. So we have our crew of 7 now. 7 of 9 and 7 of 9, ironically, is part of that. There have been rumors that CBS wants to spin off a show based around her. So I wonder how that's going to work out if they're putting her as part of the quote unquote crew into season 2.
My assumption would be it would be a prequel to Picard, in which it's basically let's follow the Fenris Rangers around as they police the neutral zone.
I would so watch a Fenris Ranger show. And I mean, of course, they went for that 7-person crew cinematic kind of shot at the end. It was very dramatic and everything. But that, like we say, that might not be the crew for next season. It just looked good in the end.
Agreed. It might have just been, the ending look shot. I find it interesting that CBS seems more responsive to what fans would like as spin-offs. Like they're talking about that Christopher Pike show with Anson Mount because he did a freaking amazing job as Captain Pike. And like after one season of everybody going, ooh, 7 of 9, they're like, oh, maybe we'll do a 7 of 9 spin-off.
I would really definitely watch a Captain Pike show with Anson Mount because he killed it. I mean, his Pike went so quickly up my favorite captain ladder. Like, I couldn't believe it. I'm like, I like this guy.
And I also like the guy they had for Spock. I don't know his name off the top of my head, but like he played a good Spock, I thought. So, that would all line up in the timeline, right? So I'm all for both of them returning for another show.
Yeah, he was quite a good Spock. I actually really did enjoy him. I'm when the season was starting, I was wondering if we'd ever actually see Spock, or would he just continue to be this elusive character? But no, he was cast. He was, he was in the show, and he was good.
Yep, I agree. So one thing I was looking up is that in the current episode of Enterprise that I just watched, it was yet another temporal Cold War, 400 years in the future, blah, 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 which at that point would be the 2500s, give or take, because Enterprise takes place in 2150s. So I was curious if the time jump at the end of Discovery, which they're jumping 900 years into the future, would be around that time. But we're apparently jumping all the way into like the 31st century. So that's going to be interesting.
I believe season 3 of Discovery is coming soonish, isn't it?
According to the Wikipedia page I was just on, it wrapped up filming at the end of February. So I'm very interested to see what the galaxy looks like in the 3100s.
Yeah, talk about your blank slate.
Seriously, so much blank slate.
That's good, though. That's the way to do it.
I know we wanted another sequel to Voyager, but I'm not sure we wanted to jump that far ahead. Like, I don't understand how a ship 900 years out of date is going to be able to go up against literally anything in a fight.
I don't know. After centuries, there could have been wars, things, technology could have risen and fallen several times. They might end up being an advanced ship. And on that note, I'm going to head out, guys. Thank you very much for showing up again.